The first is that Jeffrey Epstein and the people around him frequently alluded to having some kind of dirt on President Donald Trump. The emails span from before he first became president to 2019 when Jeffrey Epstein died. This document from 2011 is an email from Jeffrey Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell. You can see her name right there, G Max. And Jeffrey Epstein says, "I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Virginia," meaning Virginia Roberts, "spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned. The police chief, etc. I'm 75% there."
Before we dive into this, quick ask. If you want the truth about the Epstein files, the real story behind the headlines, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. This is a series you won't want to miss. Also, smash that like button. It helps more people find this investigation. And if this shocks you, share it, because some secrets deserve to be exposed. Let's get into it. Before we start, let me be clear. This isn't about what I think happened. This is about what they said happened, what the emails say, what the documents show, what the witnesses claim, and what they show is complicated.
I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein.
November 2024. Donald Trump is about to be sworn in as president, again. And there's one name he desperately doesn't want you to hear: Jeffrey Epstein. Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? Trump asked reporters in July. Are people still talking about this guy? This creep? That is unbelievable. But here's what is unbelievable. For someone Trump calls this creep, he sure spent a lot of time with him. 20 years, in fact. Partying together, flying together, building an empire together. And now, emails released just weeks ago show something Trump has always denied. According to Epstein himself, quote, "Of course Trump knew about the girls." So what really happened between these two men? And why is Trump fighting so hard to keep these files hidden?
There were new Epstein photos released today showing you and also Bill Clinton, Steve Bannon. What were your reaction to those new photos that were released?
Let's go back to where it all started. Late 1980s, Palm Beach, Florida. Donald Trump buys Mar-a-Lago, a massive estate that he'll turn into a private club. 2 miles down the road, a mysterious financier named Jeffrey Epstein buys his own mansion. They're neighbors, they're both wealthy, they both love the spotlight. And according to Jack O'Donnell, who ran Trump's Atlantic City casino in the late 80s, they become inseparable. "In my mind, Epstein was his best friend," O'Donnell told CNN in 2025. "Throughout the time I was there for 4 years." Best friend. O'Donnell says they'd show up at the casino together constantly. And he claims something else, something disturbing. He says Trump and Epstein once brought underage girls into the casino, girls who were below the legal gambling age of 21. O'Donnell says he had to reprimand both of them. Now, Trump has never commented on this claim.
Would you declassify the 9/11 files?
Yeah.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah. I did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there, because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world.
But it's in O'Donnell's book from 1991, though the publisher removed Epstein's name. Interesting timing, right? November 1992, Mar-a-Lago. NBC cameras capture something that would later become infamous. Trump is throwing a party with NFL cheerleaders. And there, right next to him, laughing and pointing at women on the dance floor, is Jeffrey Epstein. The footage is grainy, but the body language is clear. These aren't acquaintances. These are friends. Close friends. Behind them in the video, Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's accomplice. The woman who would later be convicted of recruiting underage girls for him. Throughout the 90s, they're photographed together constantly. Victoria's Secret parties in 1997, Mar-a-Lago events in 2000. Trump's own employees later told the New York Times that Epstein was in the office all the time during the mid-90s. Daily notes from Trump's assistant show instructions to call Trump or check if he's flying to Florida tomorrow. This wasn't casual, this was a partnership. New York Magazine. Trump gives an interview, and he says something that, looking back, feels chilling. "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side." On the younger side. Remember that phrase, because it's going to matter. But let me tell you about a woman named Virginia Giuffre. In 2000, she was 16 years old. She was working at Mar-a-Lago, Trump's club, as a locker room attendant at the spa. And that's where Ghislaine Maxwell found her. According to court documents, Maxwell recruited Virginia right there, at Trump's club. She brought her to Epstein's mansion for what she said would be a massage. Virginia later testified she became a teen sex slave to Epstein, trafficked around the world, abused for years. Now, Virginia never accused Trump of any wrongdoing. But here's the thing. She was recruited from his club, on his property. And Trump was friends with both Epstein and Maxwell at the time. So the question becomes, did he know? Trump says no. He says he had no idea what Epstein was doing. He says he banned Epstein from Mar-a-Lago in 2007 for being a creep. But let's look at what the newly released emails say. Epstein writes an email to author Michael Wolff. He's talking about the Mar-a-Lago story, the one where Trump claims he kicked Epstein out. Epstein writes, "Trump said he asked me to resign, never a member ever." So Epstein is saying Trump's lying, that he was never even a member to be kicked out. Then Epstein adds this line, "Of course he knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop." Read that again. Trump asked Ghislaine to stop, not he had no idea, not he was shocked. He asked her to stop recruiting at his club, which means, according to Epstein, Trump knew what was happening. And his response wasn't to call the police. It was to ask them to stop doing it at his property. But there's another email, this one from 2011. Epstein is writing to Ghislaine Maxwell, and he mentions Trump by name. "I want you to realize that dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Virginia spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned. The dog that hasn't barked." It's a Sherlock Holmes reference, the dog that should have barked but didn't. Epstein is saying Trump has been suspiciously silent, that Virginia spent hours at Epstein's house with Trump, but Trump's name has never come up in connection with the case. Now again, Virginia never accused Trump of wrongdoing. But Epstein seems to be suggesting he has leverage, that Trump could be implicated if Epstein wanted him to be. And then there's the Michael Wolff emails. December 2015. Epstein and Wolff are discussing Trump, who's now running for president. Wolff writes, "I hear CNN planning to ask Trump tonight about his relationship with you." And then Wolff says something stunning. "I think you should let him hang himself. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the house, then that gives you valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you." Let me translate that. Wolff is suggesting Epstein let Trump lie on national television and then reveal the truth, because that would give Epstein leverage over Trump. Epstein responds, "If we were able to craft an answer for him, what do you think it should be?" They're literally strategizing how to control Trump's public statements. This is blackmail preparation. But wait, it gets worse. Epstein sends an email to Larry Summers, the former Treasury Secretary. He's venting about Trump, and he writes, "I have met some very bad people, none as bad as Trump." None as bad as Trump. Think about who's writing this. A convicted sex offender, a man who trafficked underage girls, and he's saying Trump is the worst person he's ever met. What did Epstein know? Now let's talk about what Trump says happened. July 2025. Trump is asked about his falling out with Epstein. He says Epstein stole young women who worked at Mar-a-Lago, including Virginia Giuffre. But here's the problem with that story. Virginia was recruited in 2000. Trump called Epstein a terrific guy in 2002, 2 years after Virginia was taken. So if Trump was so angry about Epstein stealing his employees, why was he still praising him 2 years later? The timeline doesn't add up. Some reports say Trump and Epstein fell out in 2004 over a real estate deal. They both wanted to buy the same oceanfront mansion in Palm Beach. Trump outbid Epstein, paying $41 million. The bankruptcy trustee called it two very large Palm Beach egos going at it. After that, no more photos, no more parties. The friendship was done, or was it? Because in 2016, right after Trump won the election, Epstein's brother Mark says Giuffre called Trump to congratulate him. So maybe they weren't as estranged as Trump claims. Fast forward to 2024. Trump is campaigning for president, and he makes a promise. "I will release the Epstein files," he tells his supporters. Everything, the whole truth. His base loves it. Finally, transparency. Finally, we'll know who was involved. November 2024, Trump wins. He signs the Epstein Files Transparency Act. It requires the Department of Justice to release all Epstein files by December 19th. But then something strange happens. December 2024 rolls around, and instead of releasing everything, the DOJ releases heavily redacted documents, 199 pages of grand jury testimony, completely blacked out, a list of over 200 names, fully redacted. And Trump? The man who promised to release everything, he calls the push for more files a hoax. He says Republicans demanding transparency are stupid. What happened? What changed between I'll release everything and this is a hoax? Maybe it's because of what's actually in those emails. The House Democrats have been slowly releasing documents from Epstein's estate, over 23,000 pages, and Trump's name is everywhere. Not as a victim, not as a witness, as someone Epstein monitored, someone Epstein had leverage over, someone Epstein considered useful. There are emails showing Epstein obsessively tracking Trump's presidency, offering advice to his staff, positioning himself as a Trump whisperer. Why would Epstein care so much about Trump unless he had something over him? And then there are the photos. The December file release includes a framed picture. It shows Epstein holding a giant novelty check for $22,500, signed by Trump. The frame says, "Once in a blue moon." What was that payment for? We don't know. It's never been explained. Here's what we do know. Trump and Epstein were close friends for nearly 20 years. They partied together, they flew together, they recruited young women together from modeling agencies and pageants. Virginia Giuffre was recruited from Trump's own club. Epstein's emails claim Trump knew about the girls. Trump's explanation for why they fell out keeps changing. First, it was real estate. Then it was Epstein being a creep. Then it was stealing employees. And when Trump had the chance to release all the files like he promised, he didn't. Now, let me be clear. Trump has never been charged with any crime related to Epstein. He's never been accused by any of Epstein's victims of wrongdoing. But the question isn't whether Trump was involved in Epstein's crimes. The question is, what did Trump know? And when did he know it? Because if Epstein's emails are right, Trump knew about the girls. He asked Ghislaine to stop recruiting at Mar-a-Lago. He spent hours at Epstein's house. And if that's true, why did he stay friends with Epstein for years after? Why did he call him terrific in 2002? Why did he only distance himself after Epstein was arrested? There's one more email I need to tell you about. December 2018. Someone texts Epstein. "It will all blow over. They're really just trying to take down Trump and doing whatever they can to do that." Epstein responds, "Yes, thanks." Even from prison, even facing life in jail, Epstein was still watching Trump's back. Or maybe Trump was watching his. In July 2025, Trump announced he wants the DOJ to investigate Jeffrey Epstein's involvement and relationship with Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, and many other people. Notice who's missing from that list? Himself. So where does this leave us? We have 20 years of friendship, parties, flights, real estate deals, modeling agencies. We have recruitment happening at Trump's club. We have emails saying Trump knew about the girls. We have Michael Wolff discussing leverage. We have Epstein calling Trump the worst person he'd ever met. And we have Trump fighting against the very file release he promised. This isn't a story about guilt. It's a story about questions. Questions Trump doesn't want to answer. Questions the redacted files might contain. Questions that maybe Epstein took to his grave. But here's the thing about questions. They don't go away just because you refuse to answer them. And as more files get released, as more emails surface, those questions are only getting louder. I'll be following this story as it develops. If you want updates, subscribe and turn on notifications. Drop a comment. Do you think we'll ever get the full truth? Or are some secrets buried too deep? Because one thing Jeffrey Epstein understood better than anyone: secrets are only valuable as long as nobody knows them. And somebody always knows. Thanks for watching.